I understand we're here to discuss something serious. I also understand that we're discussing something serious during a very serious time in our country. I think we're all reeling from the shock and the events of Wednesday, which is perfectly understandable. But hopefully we will still be able to, in that spirit of patriotism and trying to imagine a better Kenya for all of us, have a very good launch this morning. So as Henix mentioned, my name is Yvonne Oyeke, former coalition member, but officially, but forever associated with Wango Kanja and all of you. And it's really a pleasure to be here. As mentioned by Henix, I think it would be good if we know who is in the room, just so that we are familiar with each other. And I think that's the African way. You don't just start talking. You have to introduce yourself, greet, before we get into the serious things. So I think we'll just have a quick round. Just tell us who you are, which organization you represent, in whatever language. Even in the Luo, if you want to. Maybe that's how I should have introduced myself. But please, go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Joanne. I'm a sociologist.
Nice to meet you, Joanne. Karibu.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Beatrice Tonui, the founder and chair for Women in Tea Value Chain Association.
Karibu sana.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Wango Mureithi, not Wango Kanja, and I'm the co-chair of Women in Tea East of the Rift.
Welcome.
I'm Dr. Susan Limisi. I work for Fair Trade Africa as the gender coordinator. Thank you so much. A pleasure to be here.
I'm Jambo.
To Jambo.
My name is Brenda Yambo. I'm a legal counsel at FIDA Kenya. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Karibu sana. Our youngest coalition member.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm Fanis from Limuru.
Nice to meet you. Karibu.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm Elizabeth Simiyu from Limuru.
Habari ya asubuhi nyinyi wote.
Tuko salama.
Kwa majina naitwa Grace Ayuma kutoka Limuru.
Karibu.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Dorcas Gitwanga. I represent Physicians for Human Rights.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Pauline from Kangema.
Hamjambo.
To Jambo.
Jennifer Waivera from Kangema, one of Wango Kaja followers.
Yes. SSV member.
Morning.
Morning.
My name is Violet from Kagema.
Morning, everyone. My name is Eunice Akinyi, SSV Kenya, Embakasi South.
Morning, everyone. My name is Winfred Wangui, SSV, Embakasi Central.
Habari zenu nyote. Kwa majina ni Sabina Kwamboka from Wango, Wanga Kanja.
Habari zenu. Kwa majina ni Mary Njeri kutoka Kericho.
Saseni Esther Nyambura from SSV and Njiwa organization.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gravi Juliet. I'm representing East Africa Center for Human Rights.
Good morning. My name is Purity, Psychosocial Support Officer, Wango Kanja Foundation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lydia Matioli. I am from Freely in Hope, Kenya.
Good morning, all. I'm Lorraine Nonginjo, SSV, Nairobi County.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maimuna Jafar, representing IDH.
Morning, my name is Mary. I work as an innovation manager for gender, working for IDH.
Good morning, everyone. Dondo Helen from GEM Trust.
Habari zetu sote. I am Mary Murwa, SSV Langata.
Good morning, everyone. I am Betty Mtueta, Center for the Study of Adolescence.
Good morning. I am Yvonne from Aisha Girl Safe House.
Bono Yeke.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Victoria Cheno from Survivors of Sexual Violence Network. I'm the coordinator Ruaraka Sub-County, and I'm also the founder of Women in Grassroots Uprising in Mathare.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
My name is Patricia Iminza, SSV, representing Dagoretti South.
Morning, everyone. My name is Virginia Ndukuyu, SSV Coordinator, Dagoretti North.
Morning, everyone. My name is Diana Mushi. I coordinate the Survivors Network in Starehe Sub-County.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Angelina Sikanda from CRU, Center for Rights Education and Awareness. Thank you. A CSV member.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jolie Oyaro. I work with Advocates for Social Change Kenya and a member of CASSB.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jen Alfayo, coordinator for Survivors of Sexual Violence Network in Kenya in Makadara Sub-County. I also work for Maisha Girls Safe House as a social worker.
Jambo. Mko salama?
Tuko salama, asante.
Okay, na kwa majina naitwa Florence Care from Maisha Girls Safe House, a member of CSV Coalition. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Wahumasi, a sexual survivor.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sakwa Masai from Oxfam, Kenya. Thank you.
Asante. I'm coming. There are some people here who are coming. You'll find out who they are.
Morning. My name is Janet Ruto from Browns Plantation, Kenya.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anthony Irongo from Oxfam, Kenya. And also I've heard people are saying from Kangema. I'm also from Moranga. Yeah.
Good job.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Purity Jabbar from Oxfam and CSV member.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being so cooperative. There are some people that we've skipped, but there's a reason. Because they're on the program. I'm not snobbing them. They'll have some time to come and tell us who they are, why they're here, and how they support the work that it is we're doing. But to quickly start off our program, I think I'd like to hand over to our hosts for this morning, who is the Wango Kanja Foundation. Many of you are familiar with Wango Kanja herself and familiar with the organization. They are the conveners of the Coalition Against Sexual Violence, under whom this report that we're here to launch in collaboration with Oxfam was written. So to welcome us, because they're the ones who set out that nice breakfast, nice venue, I'd like to call up the chair, representing Wango, who's not here with us today. Rachel, please come and welcome and open, and then we can get into the gist of the program. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for that warm welcome.
I bet a round of applause, surely. Yeah, that's how you welcome
Asante,
your host.
vugu vugu. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am a sorry replacement for the lady who is the reason why we are all here, Wango Kanja, but I will attempt to do my best to fit into her big shoes. But as we start, I think our host has mentioned this morning that we are having this meeting at a really difficult time in the journey of our country, isn't it? And because of that, and in recognition of the challenges that we are facing, and also the deaths that have been experienced, I'd like to request us to please stand up for a moment of silence. That we remember those who have departed, and we pray for strength to keep on. Thank you. I appreciate your patience. Asanteni sana. And for us today, even as we gather here, we gather as people who care, who are concerned, who are working and laboring in the field of ensuring that women girls, and basically all of society, including men, are free from sexual violence. And for me, it's wonderful today to be here, and she has called us the host, but really we would not be here if it was not for our partnership with Oxfam. So allow me to begin by thanking Mr. Edwin Mpando, the head of office, Oxfam Kenya. Please wave at us. I know you'll be speaking to us later. Thank you very much. He's accompanied by a number of the Oxfam team. Wave a hand. Let's recognize you. If you could please stand, because I'm seeing some people are waving half-heartedly. Mtu wa Moranga leaders, let us all stand. The rest of Edwin's team. We really could not have done this without the expertise and the influence and the support of Oxfam. Thank you so much to the team. And I really want to appreciate that, because as you know, Oxfam is an organization that's renowned for its research and its rigor and its investment in in-depth understanding. So we really appreciate this and would not be here today without that. We'd also like to recognize the survivors of sexual violence. And we have some network members who've introduced themselves. Just wave your hand at us again. Network members, because this network has been the backbone for the work that Wangokanja Foundation has done across the country. So giving the organization a footprint in each and every county in Kenya and being able to be the hands and feet for the work that needs to be done has been really critical. It's one thing for us to sit in these nice hotels. It's another thing for us to provide services in our local community, but to ensure that we are touching each and every county in Kenya, the Survivors Network has been really critical and has given us the backbone for this work. It's also to thank the coalition members. The coalition members span both survivors, but also cut across to organizations such as FIDA, such as CREW that are represented here, organizations that have come alongside and that has continued as to work as a coalition of people who are ensuring that the visibility for this work and the continued investment in the resources that are needed takes place. So I'd like to appreciate all of us for coming here this morning. And as we receive this report, as we receive this analysis that explains to us the experiences of women, it's really going to be critical for us to be able to look at it as a resource that has been given to us, right? To be able to engage, to have a deeper understanding, but also to give value to the experiences, to the time that has been taken to tell of the experiences, and to use that to ensure the further protection, the agitation for protection for women across all spheres, and also to engage deeper with the sectors that are going to be discussed today, so that we can have a better understanding, but more so that we can take up our responsibility as Kenyans who are patriotic Kenyans, Kenyans who want to see a better environment for the women of today and also the girls who are coming up into the workspace in the future, and to ensure that they're actually safe. And so for me is to say thank you so much. I look forward to receiving the analysis, I look forward to the report, and I wish you all a wonderful morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I think we can give a better round of applause. And I can see we also have a hashtag here that's been put up. So if you're on X or on the different socials and you'd like to, what do they call it? Did they change it to X? If we used to tweet. So what do we do now? We X. That doesn't even sound right. But anyway, if you want to X or whatever other platform, please, we can use the hashtag protect tea workers just to gain some traction and some traffic and have people talking about this report in the same way that we are today. But before we get into the findings, because it's early in the morning, you know, I think we need a little bit of activity to just ndio tuchangamke kidogo, because you guys are still looking a bit low, a bit chilled. So I'm going to hand over to Henix. You know, my face may not show it, but I'm not young. So when it comes to these things of getting people on their feet, unfortunately, I'm not the woman for you. But thankfully, my co-MC here is just the guy for the job. So Henix, you're going to get the people a little bit excited, a little bit, you know, even though things are the way they are.
Sure.
That as we go into this report, that will maybe go into it with a bit of energy. So
okay. I'm not sure whether Mavengina wants to dance this morning. But thank you. First, from where Yvonne has left, so the hashtag is protect tea workers. And so for the next 5 minutes, I want us to engage in an activity. I have here some few dollars from Rachel and Dr. Wangu Kanja. Few dollars to take care of your breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you are not that expensive as Henix. Anyone who remembers my name, please? Full name. To take the first dollar. Yes, yes.
Henix Omusanja.
Not yet there. Yes, please. Oh? Okay, take this. Let's clap for her. Asante. Okay, so we'll stand up. Take your phones. Let's take our phones, eh? We'll stand up. We want to take good photos. So the next dollar goes to the person who will take a nice photo and tweet under the hashtag protect tea workers. So here is the dollar. So Rasat, wherever you are, please assist me to track who's the first person to tweet, eh? You can take a photo if you in a group, 1 or 2. No, we should see your tweet. We should see your tweet. Tweet under this hashtag, eh? Protect tea workers. Tweet. Rasat, give me the feedback, eh? And underline the best photo. The first person to tweet? No, let's see your tweet. Don't just say done. Eh? Rasat is there. Who? Who is Wanjiku Njoka? The second person? Usifungue saizi. The second person? Purity Jebor. Who is Purity Jebor? Fungua ugawie huyu pia. There are a few dollars there. Fungua. Fungua, I'm allowing you fungua. Chap. The next person? Fungua mgawie. Yes. Rasat, yes. Wango wa majani, who's that? Wango. Yvonne, you can take it to her na umwambia afungue une ni pesa ngapi tumeweka ndani. Asione Oxfam hatuna pesa. Fungua wagawia hao wako hapo pia. Florence who? Florence Kea. Ugawie huyu fungueni mgawane. SS Rasat. Sakwa, who's Sakwa? Fungulia Sakwa umwambie ananunua dina, mfungulie umpatie. Nice. Ni ngapi? Kama ni kidogo hiyo tutakuwa shida ya Oxfam leo. Asante. Good. So let's stand up. Rasat, kuja tune in hii. We dance for the next 2 minutes, then we are done. Sisakwa ni watu wa pesa. Umemwambia ni pesa ngapi kwa hapo? Sawa.
Enjoy premium quality cheaper than ever before. Get a 40% discount.
Tweeting, si ati zawadi zilisha. Yes. Yes, I mean, let me check. Anyway, because we'll never find that song, any of you to give us a song, we can dance to it, isn't you? Yes. So, who was the last person to tweet? Atupatie the song. Okay, let's go. Okay. Aya, tunasimama. Rasat, your screen, please. All right, wote, if you're holding your phone tuweke chini tafadhali. Let's go. Rasat, the music is up, our energy is up, but the system keeps failing us. Oneni Dorcas, ona Dorcas. Twende Dorcas. Let's go. Yvonne, not just left foot, Both legs, Yvonne, please. Let's go, Yvonne. Hapa nyuma, hapa nyuma. We are going. Twende. I wish tungeona mavengina.
The monster magnet.
Let's clap for ourselves, tafadhali.
Child can make their very own monster.
That was good. I can hear some panting, which is not good. That wasn't even a full workout. Tukinasikia kwani nini nafanyika? We do it again. Exercise for the day. Thank you so much, Henix, for starting us off and bringing up the energy in the room, which I think is very important given the heavy nature of the discussion that we'll be having today, which is the launch of a report that was done in collaboration with the Coalition Against Sexual Violence and with the generous support of Oxfam. And it is on the challenges that female tea workers face with as a result of the Sex for Work scandal that was aired on BBC. So the coalition, with the generous support of Oxfam, thought it would be good to actually undertake some research so that we're able to fully understand what is the nature of the challenges that are faced in this respect, and what can we do collectively to try and respond to some of the challenges that were aired in that expose. So today, we're here to find out what the outcomes of that research was, and what some of the recommendations that have come out of there are, and how we collectively, in our different spheres of influence, as SSV members, as members of Oxfam, as members of Wangukanja Foundation, members of the Academy, what can we do to protect tea workers from this problem of sex for work? So to share with us the findings of this very important piece of research, we have Wendy, a face that you're all familiar with. I'm sure you're all familiar with Wendy, surely. Anyone who doesn't know who Wendy is? Anyone who doesn't know who Wendy is? No? Yes? We all know Wendy. She's whispered in my ear that she's feeling a bit shy. So I think we need to escort Wendy nicely as she's going to the front to share with us the findings. This is one. Oh, I'll give you this one. Where's the other mic? Yes, I think we need to welcome Wendy a little bit better, because she's mentioned she's feeling a bit shy. Anawoga kidogo. So she said we need to welcome her a little bit so that we can give her that courage and that confidence to be able to share the results of this report. Now, I don't know how we're going to do this. I think we can start. You know that clap that you warm like this? Yeah, the one that you warm like this. It's warming, it's warming. It's not hot. It's not hot. Are you warming it? I don't think so. I'm not feeling it. Is it warm? Our youngest member has even slept because your clap is not warm enough. Look, we've put him to sleep. Please. That's it. Here is an example of the clap that's being warmed. Are we warming it? We're warming it. We're warming it. We're warming it. Are you warming it? Are you sure? Okay, Wendy, we're getting ready to release in 1, 2, 3. There we go. Wendy, are you feeling a bit energized and a bit more less shy to share with us the report?
I'm not shy.
Wendy, karibu sana.
Asante sana Yvonne. Habari zenu? Good morning. How are you feeling this morning? Mmefurahi ama mmekasirika? I was going to say mseme kitu lakini sitaki kuharibu. Mimi sijasema, mumesikia mwenye amesema? We've all received some goodies. Si tuko na goodies tumepewa? And in those bags, there's a report that looks like this. So this is the report that we are launching today. And amongst us, it's important to recognize the coalition members. We have Center for Reproductive Rights and Awareness somewhere at the back. Hi, Angelina. We have Advocates for Social Change. Hi, Jolie. We have Maisha Girls Safe House. Hi. We have Freely in Hope, our newest members. Hi. We have nimesahau nani? Oxfam. Hi. Wangukanja Foundation. Hi. Nice. So I'm presenting this on behalf of the Coalition Against Sexual Violence. This research was commissioned by the coalition and supported by Oxfam in Kenya. And it was undertaken in 3 counties, we had Murang'a County, we had Kericho County, and we also did Kiambu County, that's specifically in Limuru. So this research from the title is the purpose was to analyze women workers' experiences, specifically on human and labor rights violation in the tea sectors. And I know, in the tea sector, sorry, and I know we have amongst us representatives from the team that participated in this research. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reminding you of consent. Najua kuna wale wamesema hawataki picha zao ziwekwe kwa mtandao. We have taken note of that na tutatuma. Okay. Sawa sawa. So wale wenye wamesema hawataki picha zao ziwekwe kwa mtandao, hatutaweka. We respect that choice. So we will proceed, but keep tweeting. We have the hashtag protect tea workers. So an overview of Kenya's tea sector. One, that it's the third largest export. We have at 23%. It contributes towards the Kenyan export. And then it's the third largest tea producer. That's after China and India. We also have it, I've mentioned the fact that it's the third largest agricultural exchange earner for Kenya at 23% of the total foreign exchange. Then we know that the tea industry, even when this research was being conducted, it was conducted in different levels. We had the smallholder farmers, we had the independent and the large-scale plantation owners for companies that we all know of. And then companies like James Finlay's, Williamson Tea, and Sassini. Then we also know that the sector supports around 6.5 million people directly, and indirectly with over 350,000 informal workers. And important to mention is that 70% of these 350,000 are women. Then something else that's a challenge or a gap in the tea sector is the fact that we have a Tea Act in place, but we do not have a tea policy. And the Tea Act that is in place only talks about issues of quality, production, but it doesn't mention the issues of sexual exploitation and harassment in the tea sector, which is what this research was analyzing. So yeah, I've mentioned that it speaks to production, licensing, issues of quality, the markets, but doesn't talk about the social issues of women who are violated, labor violations in the tea sector. We will proceed to the objectives of the study. I'm moving a bit fast because we have these documents with us. Yes? Yes? We have the document with us. We will get time to read it, but we just thought it's important to have this session. So one is to, of course, document the human and labor rights violations of women tea workers. The other objective of this study is to document the lived experiences. It's one thing to document the violations, but then it's another thing to document the lived experiences. When you look at the research, the copy you have, we have some quotes mentioned somewhere of women who've expressed exactly what happened, quoting the exact words of the alleged perpetrators in the tea sector. And that's the reason we also started off by watching the BBC film to just get us to see why we're here today. The other reason we conducted this study is to identify external, that's the community, it could be the ecosystem that's addressing issues of human and labor rights violations, and then also internally in the workplace, be it at the large scale level, be it at the middle level or independent level, or even at the small scale level, how these different factors are influencing women workers' experiences of sexual exploitation and harassment within Kenya's tea industry. We also wanted or were looking to examine how women tea workers navigate these violations. When somebody is abused, how do they seek help? Are there appropriate reporting mechanisms? Are there grievance mechanisms in the tea sector, whether be it at independent small scale or large scale tea growers? We are also looking to assess the capacity of stakeholders within the Kenyan tea sector to see whether they are prepared or well equipped to support women who are violated in the tea sector. We were also looking to lastly have these findings synthesized into actionable recommendations for advocacy and strategic programming, so that if we have launched the research, so what's next? Do we put the document aside and move to another document, to another research? No. So whatever findings, the findings that we've had in this report, we have recommendations to each issue, be it structural issues, employment issues, and these recommendations we are looking forward to implement. So we're going to move to the methodology that was used in conducting this study. We had desk reviews examining literature, the existing policies, existing reports on SEA. I had mentioned earlier that we have the Tea Act, but we don't have the tea policy. So most of the policies that were being examined were from organizational level, but then also at company level, especially for the large-scale tea growers, examining what policies are in place for them to protect tea workers. Then, of course, we also had qualitative interviews for women. I've mentioned that we have participants who participated in this research with us. We also had documentations or documents on labor rights violations that were reviewed. Those were organizational practices, research that was existing, studies that were existing before. Then we also had mentioned earlier that we involved women workers in large, medium, and smallholder sectors in South Rift, Limuru, and Mount Kenya regions. Mostly for Kericho is where we have most of the large-scale tea growers or large-scale farmers, tea plantations, and estates. Then for the medium, we have areas like Muranga, Limuru, then smallholder or independent tea growers are also in some of the South Rift regions. Then participants, we had field workers, factory workers, we had supervisors, community leaders, community members who are directly or indirectly involved or working with tea workers. Then lastly, we had focus group discussion, and we had 10 participants each and 15 key informants. But it's important to mention that the terrain in the tea sector was not so good. So those were some of the challenges that the consulting team that was delegated to take up this task faced, because we conducted this research at a time when the BBC documentary had just been released, and there was a lot of tension around that time. So even getting participants to engage, to share with us the lived experiences was a bit challenging. But of course, we were able to move. So for the findings, we have them broken down in different areas. So we have findings that are on the structural issues at those different levels. Then we have management issues, and then we have employability issues, because remember the title of our research was, or rather the analysis was looking at labor and human rights violations. We can move to looking at the women workers' experiences on sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment among women in the tea sector. And the documentary that we watched when we started off this morning gave us a snippet of what it looks like. Sex for tea or sex for work. Sometimes it's having to, because some of the lived experiences of women is maybe you have to, for you to, ideally if you're looking for a job, you have to hand over documents for your qualifications, but in this case you have to exchange something, and in this case it's sex for you to get a job. So those are just some of the issues. And then also for SEA, when you get the job, it's repeated sexual harassment within the sector, and there are no grievance mechanisms. So one, of course, it's a cycle. It continues. It's a cycle that continues and doesn't stop. So of the exploitation and abuse, then we have issues of manipulation, of power imbalance. We all know that issues of gender-based violence, there's an aspect of power, where individuals use their power over others, and this is a very typical example of power imbalances. The other one is, of course, transactional nature of employment. I've mentioned that example from the video that we watched from the documentary. There's a mention of that. Then we also have coercive tactics, where perpetrators use to lure or to manipulate women workers in the tea sector. Psychological trauma, which goes unmentioned. We all know that sexual and gender-based violence has an impact to individuals. So this is one of the findings that came out from the research. The other one is social stigma and isolation, and this is both within the workspace and outside in the community. Most of the women tea workers would share that they wouldn't report because of the stigma that is associated with being a survivor of sexual and gender-based violence. Some would be isolated by their family members, including their own partners who'd run away. Yeah. The other one is, of course, lack of redress. I've mentioned that. There are some companies or large-scale tea estates that are doing a good job. They're trying to at least keep up and ensure they have policies and mechanisms in place to ensure that women tea workers are protected. But there's a gap in redress, so that means that when a woman has been violated, it becomes difficult for them to get support, especially access to justice. So there's that cycle, hence the point we have at number 7. So we can move to the recommendations. I had mentioned that I'm moving a bit fast. So for recommendations, we have recommendations that are addressing the 3 issues. You remember we had mentioned structural issues, employability issues. What was the last one? There were 3. Management issues. Ama niko peke yangu kwa hii room na Masi. Kwani are we planning for another demo? Mmeniacha hapa mnapanga tactics za kudeal na Are you here with me? Mutuse, are you with us? You are with us. Please stay with me for this short period of time. So for the recommendations, of course, it's the legal issues, legislative actions. I've mentioned that we have the Tea Act, we don't have the tea policy, but then it would be important for even the Tea Act to be reviewed in such a way that it incorporates the issues of social issues, the labor and human rights violations, so that at least it has that human rights angle, which is lacking in it. Then we have, of course, regulatory oversight. And for regulatory oversight, it could be for the government, the recommendation was for the government to consider establishing a dedicated regulatory body. Because that means that most of the times, if you do not have a coordination mechanism, there's a gap because there is no one to hold the other individual accountable. So that's one of the other recommendation. The other one is financial incentives, mechanisms, and penalties. This is especially for the tea companies, such that if they violate human rights, then they know that there are accountability mechanisms in place to hold them accountable for the violations, and or not having mechanisms in place to ensure that women tea workers are protected. The other bit would be mandatory training and reporting, and this especially came out when some of the supervisors or individuals in the management level were sharing that as much as they would want to address these issues, but some do not even have an idea what GBV is, how it manifests in the community, so it becomes difficult to address something you're not privy to. Then the other bit, of course, is prosecution. I've mentioned that issues of access to justice was one of the findings, lack of redress. So ensuring that mechanisms are put in place to support survivors to access justice. Enforcement, and then we have, lastly is enforcement. So that is for structural issues. The second one we mentioned was management issues. And for management issues, leadership and company culture played a big role, or came out as one of the findings that was playing a big role
enabling issues of SEA in the tea sector. So having zero tolerance policy, shifting the gender and social norms, and this would have to start from the community level all the way up. And it can also happen because in every organization there's some sort of culture. And most of the women tea workers would share that it is known. If you even share with your friend that this and this, something like this happened to me, they tell you, but hiyo si inafanyika, we zoea tu na tuendelee, sasa hauna option. So these are some of the statements that were being shared by some of the women tea workers. And then the other bit of risk mapping by the leadership is also important. So that's the bits I've mentioned. And then grievance mechanisms and investigation procedures. Those, I know of some companies that we've engaged with that have shared with us the existing grievance mechanism they have in place, which they're trying to ensure that tea workers are protected, but that's still a gap because it needs to be at least replicated in all the tea, all the levels of the individuals in the tea sector. So it could be independent reporting channels. We know that reporting is one of the gaps, because if somebody is not able to report because of issues of stigma and isolation or discrimination, that means they're not able to get the support that they require for them to get redress. The other bit is third-party investigators or having external review and audit. This could be reviewing the existing policies of the companies or the different actors in the tea sector so that they are at par with the emerging issues, especially for human and labor rights violations. Then we have monitoring and external oversight. That's also another important recommendation for addressing the management-related challenges. So you realize that the consultants identified some of the companies or entities that can support in monitoring and external oversight. This is just but a few. We have Rainforest Alliance, we have Fair Trade Africa, we have the Ethical Tea Partnership to reinforce transparency in the tea sector. We'll move to the employability challenges, because we had mentioned we have different issues. We remember we said structural issues, management issues, and employability issues. So for employability challenges, one of the recommendations that were provided is issues of policy development and advocacy, which is important. We know that SEA policies are required by law, and it's important to emphasize that these are incorporated in all companies, especially for the tea sector, considering the violations that are happening in that area. And then, of course, fair employment practices to avoid the issues of avoiding transactional work. And then we have worker empowerment and representation. This is also another gap that came up. As much as some of the tea workers are sitting or are forming membership of the associations that represent them, but most of them are expressing that they don't feel like they are given the support that they would require. And then there is the issue of community level prevention and company community collaboration. So that means that the support, because this is both at community level and at company level. So if the change would happen both ways and all stakeholders involved in the process would come in and collaborate, then there'd be some change in the tea sector. We have this one, we are almost winding up. Then we look at survivor support. So some of the other recommendations provided for on the cross-cutting and community engagement issues. We have local community engagement, involvement, the participatory approach to ensure that all individuals are supported or are engaged in this process. Then we have, of course, strengthening NGO partnerships. We all know that private and public, or the partnerships within this space is important. You cannot work in silos. The other bit is cultural change initiatives, which would address the gender and social norms that are perpetuating sexual and gender-based violence, because we all know it's rooted in our culture and it goes into the organizational culture. Then we also have, it's important to engage the international partners, and in this case, it was the international buyers, human rights organizations, to bring that global attention to the issue of SEA. We saw what happened when the BBC documentary was aired. There was a lot of attention that was given to that sector because of what came out in that documentary. And we saw some organizations and entities and companies try to address the issues, and that is a good thing. So that means involving partners from the global landscape would help us in influencing and advocating for better practices and higher standards across the industry. Then we have, of course, support services for SEA survivors, which brings us to our last slide. So for survivor support, which has been one of the biggest gap when the women were sharing their experiences, we know that survivor support takes a very, it's a holistic approach, because there's legal, there's psychosocial support, there's economic empowerment, offering alternative means of livelihood, because most of the women would say, yes, I am being violated, but where would I work? This is the only job I know. This is the only means of livelihood that I know of. So these are just some of the ones that have been mentioned. Of course, we know about psychosocial support and trauma care, and prioritizing it or looking at it from a survivor-centered approach. Medical support, which is important, because some women face these violations and they end up even needing reconstructive surgery, which is very expensive. We already have that challenge in our health sector right now, so you can imagine how it would be for somebody who's been violated. Then we have access to legal aid and justice, safe reporting and whistleblower protection, because this would handle the issues of reporting. The other bit is emergency shelter and survivor relocation. Some would mention that the fear they have of not reporting is because they would be maybe killed by the perpetrator, because some have been killed before, so they wouldn't want to end up dead just because they spoke out. So emergency shelter, the issues of protection are very important. I've mentioned the aspect of economic empowerment. It could even take the other bit of social protection. And I know maybe there are some colleagues who have engaged the issue of maybe cash transfers and voucher assistance. It could go a long way to support survivors to rebuild and get reintegrated back to the community. Then we have remediation and redress. That speaks to also access to justice, but then also recognizing the fact that this looks different for every survivor. We also have issues of monitoring, evaluation, and accountability. Holding ourselves accountable as actors in the space, but then also allowing for the people or communities or our target audience to hold us accountable. Are we tired? I am done. Thank you for listening, and I'll hand this back to Mr. Obuchunju. Did I
Asante
pronounce
sana
that well?
Wendy. Tupigie Wendy makofi akienda kukaa chini. That was a very wonderful presentation. I know you needed more time, Wendy, sindio? But we've rushed you. Nonetheless, we are here. You know, Yvonne, one story that I've never shared is I have a personal, not even personal, somebody close to me whose rights were violated. And it took this person who's close to me over 15 years to open up. So I've been trying to, or I was really trying to push this person who was close, or who is close to me still now, that, hey, why can't you, you know, come visit us, come visit us. Why can't you come? But they kept postponing, telling me that, you know, I'll come one day, I'll come. That day has never come. Upon talking to this person very well, because I suspected there was an issue, they opened up that their rights were violated when they was still very small. At a particular place. Okay, let me even mention the place. I'm a resident of Kibra, like some of us here. And so when this person tells me that their rights were violated 15 years ago, and that is why they hate coming back to the same environment, it hurt me as a younger person, whereas there are older people above me who could have, seen the signals and know that, there's a problem with this. 15 good years. And until today, they vowed never to come to Kibra, Lydia. I'll pause to let that sink. Hapo ndo tutaenda kanisani tuseme Bwana asifiwe Yvonne.
Amen.
I don't know whether I'm the only person, Mavengina, who is always very mad when rights are violated and people who are meant to protect the same rights are not taking any action, Bana. And so when we start making noise about these issues, I know if perhaps one of us could be a police officer here, tungeanta kusema, you've been funded by so and so to make the noise. Not knowing that there are people who are living with the trauma continuously. So back to my personal story is, I'm still trying, Yvonne, to convince this person to come back to this same environment. But they'll never come back. I know for sure they'll never. And they've never healed. And I know the perpetrator until now. And the perpetrator walks freely until now, Lydia. And I'll refer to Lydia most of the time because she works in Kibra oftentimes. I'll take a second pause to let that sink. And so, Wendy, thanks a lot for the findings. And one particular issue that has come from your presentation, especially with the recommendations, the economic empowerment bit. Something that is mostly overlooked, right? I know because Yvonne used to be my boss one day, they could say, psychosocial support, Yvonne, these good terms, but what else? And I'm glad that has come out from the report. Just not sure whether our colleagues from Physicians for Human Rights would have had another input or another recommendation to this, but Wendy wants to say something. Yvonne, you can cue me.
You left us on a very sober note. So maybe, perhaps it's time to hear from the floor what some of our reactions are. So we'll have a pass the mic session. So anyone who'd like to react, who'd like to give a comment, and it can be anything, who'd like to ask a question, who'd just like to contribute to this conversation that we're having, the time is now. So you can just raise your hand. I have the mic with me. I'll see you. I'll come around. I'll give you a chance to just share what some of your thoughts are around the report that Wendy has shared, which I think reflects a broader social problem with respect to the protection of women's rights in Kenya and the state that we find ourselves. So anyone who'd like to comment? Here we have the first one here. And however you want to express yourself, please, this is a safe space.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Wendy, for a very good report. I was just looking at the recommendations that came through, and I want to agree with him. I cannot, spell out your name well. We are an association working with women in the community, and as we move around, these women, the main challenge is economic empowerment. Sometimes when they go to the plantations or even the small-scale farmers who employ these women, if they don't get that job, then they will not put anything on the table. And I think it has given us an opportunity to really look at how can we empower them economically. What else can they do apart from after plucking tea? Is there any other activity that is more economical to supplement their income? Because those are the root cause of sexual harassment. If this woman was, well ordained in terms of she's okay, she has a kitchen garden, she has some chicken there, and then she's a plucker, then she may not be vulnerable to this sexual harassment or prone to this. So I think it is, the report has come out so well that we need to really look at the real root cause. And when we treat these root causes, then we safeguard the sexual harassment. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the reminder that we need to address the underlying root causes of the inequalities that put women in a position of vulnerability. Any other reactions? Any other thoughts?
Thank you. I'm actually really grateful that my colleague Beatrice spoke first and reminded us of the importance of economic empowerment for women. I'm a tea farmer, and I wanted to share an anecdote about what happens on my farm. So one of my largest farms is about 25 acres, and I have a woman supervisor, and she's a single mother with 3 children. And in addition to tea plucking, and in addition to being our supervisor, she also grows plenty of her own crops. And one of the reasons why we encouraged her and we gave her the land to do that was because we realized that she was actually fleeing from a domestic violence situation in her home county. She's not from Nyeri. My farms are in Nyeri. And so when we gave her this land to be able to do this, and we gave some of the other people, some of the other women on our farm who are also pluckers and who are also fleeing from similar situations, we noticed that the women were less vulnerable when they were engaging with the other men who were on the farm. And, we are a microcosm when it comes to some of the larger estates, but, my family farms are not small. And so it's just to reiterate that economic empowerment is critical in this conversation. And if there are tea farmers who do have tea pluckers on their farms, it is important that you create time, you create the space for them to be able to do what they need to do so that they can have just a little something for themselves. Because, we can pay them as much as we want to pay them, whether we're paying them 8 shillings, 15 shillings, or whatever it may be, or even if we're paying them overtime. At the end of the day, it's that empowerment and it's that ability to act independently and earn their own money. We all know how it feels when we earn our own money that's not being handed to us by an employer. You feel different. And so these women, these pluckers deserve to feel that difference that we feel. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the reminder that a key response is actually empowerment in redressing or addressing the root causes of these vulnerabilities in the first place. Anyone else want to react? I understand it's very sobering, and it's very sobering, as I mentioned earlier, during a very sober time, when we're seeing very high levels of violence, but particularly violence against women. Yes, someone whose voice we hadn't heard yet. So Jackie, go ahead.
Thank you. I was outside when introductions were being done. My name is Jacqueline Mikide. I work for Oxfam. I was just talking to her today morning, and I was just going back to the time when we were collecting data. And there's one lady who cried the entire time. And she said, I don't want compensation, I don't want money. All I want is for this pain to be transferred from me to him. I want him to wake up every morning and want to die. I want him to wake up every morning and not even want to live. I don't want money. I don't want compensation. And that hit me really hard. And it hadn't happened, her ordeal hadn't just happened the previous week or the previous month. No, this was 4 years later. And this woman has had to live with this pain. Now, where am I driving at? We already have a report now. This is just the beginning. Now, can we take these women's pain and change it into action? I'm speaking to the partners here. At Oxfam, we remain committed, to supporting, these women, to walking the journey with them, to bringing together, calling out to our partners, of our donors to support, the recommendations that have been outlined in this report. But I'm also calling upon the partners in this room. Let's join hands. The little you have, you bring together with the other partner and ourselves, we will make that change come to life. So this is an appeal to all the partners in this room that let's join hands and work together with these women so that their change, their pain is not just documented for nothing. Let's bring change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Thank you for the reminder that this is just the beginning. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done to address not only the challenges that women face in the tea sector, the gendered inequalities in the world of work, broader challenges around sexual violence, sexual and gender-based violence in Kenya, and the call for us to come together and work within your different spheres of influence. Everyone has different influences. Oxfam have committed themselves to work within their particular sphere of influence. So our call to each of us to also think through what our influence is and how we can use our voices in that space to agitate for some change for the women who so bravely contributed to this report. Anyone else? I keep moving towards that side of the room, hoping that as people see me approaching, a light bulb will go off and they'll be like, wow, Yvonne, I have something I also want to share. Or it's all very sobering. Any reactions? Angela hates to see me coming. She hates to see me coming. You can see there she's laughing because she's like, oh my God, Yvonne, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm fair. I'll walk away in the hopes that, as I slowly walk away, something will move in you. Hey, you see?
They're called hazards of being known. Let me stand. Thank you. I know I'm a member, so ideally I shouldn't comment. But let me give it a shot. Just a few things that we need to think critically about. It's what I'm just discussing here with my friend who pretends to be stalking me on these matters. One of the things I think which stands out is the fact that if you look at the policy framework and if you read further into the documentation, a lot of the companies have some policies. In fact, some are really explicit. But in terms of how that is enforced is where the gap remains. There's something I know Wendy said, which I don't know some of you caught, but it's a question I thought someone was going to ask, which was about a recommendation around financial incentives. And so the question you ask yourself is, for a company, you'll be told their business is business. Business comes first before all other matters. And therefore, the very issues we are dealing with are at the core of human resource work and welfare needs of the persons who do the actual work. Because for most institutions, and especially in the private sector, it's about the bottom line. So the question comes, what financial incentives would a company institute, within its framework of work, to the extent that the women working, or men in that space, do not feel they are compelled have nowhere to go. If you look at where we started even today, for example, and you could hear the woman saying, I don't have any other means. I'm only reliant on this work. That up to 70% of the workforce in these particular counties, the only economic activity that they do is related to the tea sector. And therefore, what are the other options that these people have? The reason they are going and having this conversation, even risking their own lives to engage as supervisors, this is the only job I have. I have children to feed. What am I supposed to do? But I am also conscious that my body cannot take up the workload. So what financial incentives can you institute to make this person realize that, listen, this is not the only space that you can, one, work. Two, what are the other opportunities for those, for example, who live and work within the sector itself? What are the other options? If they're not working in the farm, what else are they doing to earn a living? Are there opportunities or other options? If I want light duties within the company, what are these options that are available that these workers can try to utilize? Or are we saying the only option is kutoka, that the women leave their jobs and have nowhere else to go? So it's something we need to think about. And as we do our advocacy, it's something we need to be able to enforce. Can companies provide alternatives? Even at the point of onboarding, you have clarity, for example. If this work is not working for me, what are the other options I have? In the full detail of the expose, there is also where workers were talking about the hardships of the task. And so some were talking about, for example, effects that come with some of the products they are utilizing in the space and not having options out. What are the incentives that you can consider? So when you look at financial, I want us not to just think about, the monetary aspect of it, but other options where they can earn an income to be able to realize alternatives to the spaces they have. The other bit I think for me which came out was to look at, this is tea sector. Look at the bigger value chain, so that the advocacy, we can use this as a test case to push an agenda around the value chains on changes we'd like to see within the work environment. Other examples include, for example, maternity. For quite some time we've been saying, yes, why do we get 3 months? Who is confident to leave their child at 3 months at home and go to work? And yet you have to work 8 hours a day. Oxfam, I know, is in the room. They have been very passionate about the issue of care work. And those are questions we need to ask ourselves. Is it valid that a woman will work 8 hours at the workplace and still have to work at the household? You're trying to care for life. People are supposed to engage and become economically worthy for the very GDP of the country to grow. Shouldn't government put mechanisms to try and incentivize the whole aspect of the work that women have to do to keep the country going? So I'm just expanding our thought process to look beyond just this and the tea sector as an advocacy agenda that you can use to advance the discussion. The last thing I think, which was the bit I thought was missing, was around engagement with the industry associations and networks. The KEPSAs of today. Thank you, Chair Rachel, for being in the room. I know you have a history with some of these units and you're doing a really great job around that. You can check on what the associations are doing. Is it something that we can take up with them? So that it's not just about these particular companies that, for example, have been profiled. It's around the entire industry and how they're handling these very matters. So let's look at the industries out there. The tea sector, which association is in charge of them? Can they enforce or put in place other mechanisms, guidelines, for example, and that there is a way of measuring, monitoring, and be able to call out where companies are not doing well. So that it's not just a civil society sector advocacy, that even them as industry players are seeing the value of being able to treat the workers well so that they can earn the money they are looking to earn and we can grow the economy as we say so. But we can't do that if there are some groups who are hurting in that very space. So let's expand the advocacy agenda beyond the individual companies, but also to the sector teams and also our legislators across the sector, because these practices run across from here to all the other countries. At the beginning of this today, the documentary told us this tea is being drunk where? Where are people drinking this tea? The one they saw, the one we are saying taking is Ketepa and Finleys. So nani anakunywa chai ya Starbucks hapa hivi? Na wengineo wengi, I just said Starbucks because it's one of the famous ones. Ask yourself that question. What are they saying? Are you together? Are they feeling this tea the way we are feeling it? Yeah, I know when people get to this sector, you know, when we got here, some people stopped taking tea because of the things they learned are taking place. What it takes to have your cup of tea. Ask that question to yourself. What does it take for me to have this cup of tea? So when you're saying, what's my role in taking this conversation beyond where we are? It's about that. Because I believe and trust that when they felt their tea was not being made in the right manner, they came down and looked for us and asked us questions, and we asked them, so how does it taste? And they're like, chai si chai ya Muluya. So if it's no longer chai ya Muluya, we need to ask ourselves those very questions. What is the quality of tea you take on your cup? How do you keep that going? That is what we'd like you to do. So put your say, even as we teach and as we make this, the comments in, please also give a recommendation for action across. Pick something from the report and speak to someone. Tag someone who this information is important for them to hear. Let also the workers know we can fail them. Let's provide opportunities for them to speak out, because even as we put in mechanisms, we are not all that confident. The same way not all of us went to the streets. Some was, they were marking the day in their houses. So in the same way, wherever you are in the spaces you influence, how do you take this conversation in those very spaces? Thank you.
Thank you so much. You see, I give you the mic because I know you're going to drop wisdom. I don't know why you fight me when I can see that important information is about to be shared. A reminder to exert your influence within your sphere and follow the money. Resources are very important. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for sharing, Wendy. It was insightful. Sitting here, one of the things I was wondering is, where is government? One of the issues that was highlighted is that we have a Tea Act, but we don't have a tea policy. We have also heard that we have issues on enforcement. Who is supposed to do that? We can do as much as we can, but I believe government has a role to play in developing the policies, in enforcing, in reviewing the act, and everything that goes around legislation. So maybe for next time we should consider bringing them on board. I think we have the Ministry of Agriculture, where we have tea, we have the Ministry of Gender, where sexual violence falls. So it's good to collaborate also with government to be able to push forward legislation to make sure that this is strongly embedded for sustainability issues. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that very pertinent reminder that what we're doing is supporting, because the ultimate duty bearer is not you and me. The ultimate duty bearer is actually the state. So where are they, and how can we engage them a little more effectively to ensure that some of the recommendations that have been highlighted here are actually implemented and have some impact in the lives of tea workers? Please go ahead, Lorraine.
One recommendation in terms of creating a women-only safe space available at drop-in and one-stop centers. So anytime as survivors we get into spaces where we see the opposite sex or the person that represent the other gender that also abused, as it suppresses us from getting services, and having a women-only safe space will be very important. And in some cases, separate venues may be needed for women who attend services freely. So that to us will support us as survivors of sexual violence.
Absolutely, and thank you for bringing us back to the survivors and focusing on a survivor-centered approach. So we'll take what I think is our last comment on this Pass the Mic, but certainly the first of many conversations we hope to have around this issue. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to reiterate that because do we ask ourselves how these people are living? Like, are they having like decent housing? Ama tunawacha tu bora wachune ile chai, si tuko tu sorted. And I'll ask, the issue has asked, does like KTDA wanawaangaliaje? Do they go to the farms? Wanajua vile wanaishi? Ama pesa ikishaingia kila kitu iko sawa? Because as a member of SSV, mostly we usually look at the survivor. Are their needs met? Either mentally, physically? Because mtu asipokuwa sawa hapa, peace of mind, it's all that matters. Unaweza ingiza pesa vile inafaa, lakini kama uko poa hapa, there's nothing that you're doing. There's nothing that you're talking about here. So if the government is not involved in here, from the implementation and everything, then there's nothing that you're doing here. That's all. Thank you.
I almost feel like dropping the mic. Because that's a very powerful note to remind us. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and just to appreciate all the effort that has gone into really producing this report and bringing out all the information regarding what surrounds or what happened. And this is, I know this is something that has gone on for many years, and just like someone mentioned, that not just within the tea value chain, but maybe in, I mean in other spaces also. But really glad that this has come to our knowledge. Now, knowledge is power. And for sure, once people know, then they know. And that is why, like, we are seeing a lot happening even in our own country because of knowledge. So my one thing that is true is that this fight cannot be fought by one person, and the victory cannot be won by one person. So Oxfam has put in their bit, and I mean, all of you, whoever has participated has put in their bit. But again, we still need to see how best to rally all the other stakeholders, and not to forget those who have actually gone through these violations. So as the report has come to us, you know, the report will remain a report unless it is actually translated into action on the ground. So how do we translate the information that is in this report so that in a language that is clearly understood by those who gave you the information to document this report? How can we put it in, I mean, what can we do from here going forward so that this report also works for them, so that it doesn't appear like we have robbed them of their knowledge just to push ahead what was revealed by the BBC. But we would want to take this report and now begin to break it down into very actionable things understood by those people who are affected, so that there's some positive thing that is coming out of them, simplifying it in the language that they understand. So even if it means translating it into different dialogues so that they get to understand and what their bit is supposed to be, what they are supposed to do, and so forth, in a language they understand, that would really be very, very critical. Otherwise, we would just remain with a document, and we have a report that ends up in the shelves like many others. Okay, the other thing, just to echo again what someone said, I mean, if this report can also be pushed to all those key people that are not in the room, and yet they are very critical in ensuring that decisions are made regarding what we are talking about, the subject matter at hand. That would really be very important. I'm thinking about, I don't know, about the psychosocial support mechanism. I don't know whether I saw it, but maybe when it comes to developing the policies, I think that would be one thing that would be considered. The psychosocial support, the counseling within these industries would also be a very important thing. Otherwise, thank you so much. And if each one of us in the room can be able to carry this and target to do something, we will be a step ahead of just having a report with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We can clap for her. I'm just not sure whether, Yvonne, we are locking somebody out on the pass the mic session. I see 2 hands on my far end. I'll give you 30 seconds. You had requested 30 seconds, eh? 30.
This is in response to the question about what KTDA do. So remember, KTDA is a development. Remember, KTDA is an agency, so they can't actually regulate anything that happens on the farm. So it's up to the farm owner who decides how their workers are going to live. But the good thing is that workers will speak up, and they'll tell you if they, they'll tell you that they're not going to work for you outright because they don't like what they have. So they'll tell you that they're not going to work for you for a certain price. This is the case east of the rift. West of the rift, it's slightly different. But yeah, there is definitely a conversation to be had, and I think really what we should be doing is working with tea farm owners who deliver to KTDA to make sure that there's adequate support.
Thank you.
Okay, for me.
Just proceed.
Okay, for me, I think I'm happy about the report, and especially on the recommendations. And when we look at safety and security, I think this is something that is very, very vital, and it is something that should be really taken up on. Because without safety and protection, then it means that even the survivors won't come out to give their stories. But if they are assured of their safety, protection, and security, then we will get more stories that are not yet told. Especially with women who work in the tea sector, even the flower sectors. So I think it is upon us to, first of all, assure the survivors that their safety is safety or equal, so that they can come out and speak. Yeah.
2 things for me. I think being involved when the research was being commissioned and just reading through the lived experiences, one of the things I think we need to take advantage of, there must be an existing union for tea workers. That is also an angle that we also need to engage, because there must be a union that talks on behalf of the tea workers. The other bit is, I know we've talked about government, and this report, ideally, the Ministry of Labor should actually be here, because this is about labor. And when we're talking about, we are in the moment as a country to ratify the C-189 and C-190. And those are some of the things that will ensure that the recommendations are actually being addressed. Decent work and GBV-free work environment. So when you talk about these, we should now join the domestic workers who are actually amplifying their voices in calling government to accelerate the ratification. But it is not just about domestic workers. All workers deserve decent work, and all workers deserve to enjoy all the labor rights that Kenya has signed to take care of their workers. So I think this is part of the justification that as a coalition, we can submit to the Labor Commissioner as one of the reasons why Kenya should accelerate the ratification of the convention. So I think this is an opportunity for us to also be part of that discussion towards the ratification of the conventions. Thank you.
Okay, by the fact that the mic was close to me, I can just put a word. So I think I'm reading from the extracts of the report. By the way, the report reads very well, and I'm seeing something on a certain page. I was harassed by one supervisor, and when I tried to report him, another one started abusing me. It's like it's like they are all in it together. There is another one. We've learned to live with it because we know nothing will change. It's just how things are here. So there was a recommendation on the next page that is talking of the factors that are influencing women experiences on SEA, and there is normalization of violence or abuse. So what is it that now in an African culture or in this context that you have normalized violence or normalized abuse, that it's okay, so for you to get a job, just go and sleep with that man, and yeah. Like now we are starting to accept it like it's a norm. In campus, back in the days, you used to hear sex for grades. Like if you have a missing mark, just go to that lecturer. So I think for the men, you are so unfortunate, we had to fight your way. But now, why is it that even if you hear such an issue, it's normal? Why? That's what is disturbing me. Like we are now taking that issue as a normal thing. So it's a high time even men in the house now we start now even speaking for our women, because now I think the women feel they feel powerless, but now it's high time we act, because because these workers I don't see, like they have reported, nothing is happening. So how superior are these people? You know, I'm not understanding that no action is being taken. As far much we are encouraging investigative, even third-party monitoring investigation, but if an action won't be taken, then why would I even report? And I know that nothing will happen after all, and this is the culture. So I think let's not buy that culture and start deviating from that kind of paradigm. Thank you.
I'll start by one, an apology, then two, I didn't give consent for the camera. Thank you. Thank you for the report. And I said, apology for the lived experience, because I'm within the business and human rights. And the fact that I appreciate what we have discussed about the shared responsibility, and the fact that we all need to stand for safeguarding and the safety, dignity, and respect for human rights for all. When I say for all, I mean the men and the women who are within the business. Silence is not an option, and we appreciate people who speak up so that we can take responsibility and action, because we have the mandate as the duty bearers to be able to address any issues that emanate from our business, and more so if it affects the
Welcome a research participant who was involved in this report. Her remarks will be purely in Swahili, so please forgive us if Swahili may be a bit problematic. I'll be here to translate that. But please, we can clap for Grace akikuja hapa mbele. Grace, karibu. Mpaka akuja hapa mbele, tupige mpaka afike basi. Grace, unaweza kuja ukirukaruka, ukidance kidogo.
Asante sana. Asante sana kwa wakati huu.
Grace, katu hapa kidogo. Tafadhali, I'm reminded that if you want to pick something outside to eat, they want to close that in the next 5 to 10. So, please, pick something. Grace, karibu.
Asante. Habari zenyu tena nyinyi wote. Venye mnasikia wenzangu wakisema hiyo ni kitu yenye inatendeka. Kama huko kwetu Limuru kwa majani chai. Jumi mwenyewe nilianza kuchuna hiyo majani chai 7. Na venye tumechuna hiyo miaka yote mpaka waleo bado nachuna hiyo majani. Hiyo ndio mambo huwa inaendelea. Lakini hatukuwa tunajua kuna mahali penye unaweza enda kustaki. Lakini tunashukuru juu mnatupa mwelekeo. Sasa kwa wakati nikiona hata ikiendelea pale kwa supervisor wetu ama manager wetu, tulishapewa namba hata ya kupiga mpaka simu. Ni hao tu, mbarikiwe.
Asante sana Grace. Tupigie Grace makofi. Asante. A representative from CASV Coalition, that will be Dorcas from Physicians for Human Rights. Dorcas, the floor is yours. If you can use the minimum time, Dorcas. Karibu.
Good morning again. Yeah, my name is Dorcas, and just to give comments on behalf of the Coalition Against Sexual Violence, thank you very much to, first of all, the people who made this happen, Oxfam. Thank you for supporting this great initiative. As a coalition, we sat there and saw the baby from the time it was, it was just a concept to when now it is a full report. So really, on behalf of the coalition, we really want to thank you. And as I just want to echo what Jackie was saying, that really, as a coalition, we want to see this move from just a report to action. Already, as you may know, members of the coalition moved to court for the Chebochok case. That is one way of ensuring that rights of these women are protected. But we hope that we can do more. Members of the coalition, some of you are good at going to court, others are good at policies, others can engage counties and, Ministry of Labor and all that. So we really hope to leverage on the strengths of each and every member of the coalition. One of the things that we hope to do is even to ensure that we talk to counties, Nyeri County, for instance, Kericho County, and see that they can allocate some funding towards in the CIDPs to see that protection of these women is done. I don't know how licensing is done at county level, but really there should be some labor inspections in some of these places to see that at Oxfam we will not let you down. Sisi kama wanaharakati tutaendelea kusukuma ujumbe huu, and we hope that Oxfam will keep giving its support in as much as they can. Sindio? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dorcas. When I grow up, I hope my Swahili will be that fluent. Moving quickly in the spirit of partnership, I would now like to switch gears a little bit and call. Now you remember when we started, there were some 2 gentlemen who we skipped. Now we've come back to them because they are our very respected guests, and they represent 2 organizations that have stood with the coalition and have stood with the survivors of the exploitation that happened and the participants in this particular research piece. So we'll start with the very distinguished Martin Mavenjina. You've heard Henix mention his name a couple of times. There's the man. He's standing. Oh, there we go. Martin. Martin, welcome, please. Makofi for Martin, surely. Martin is joining us from the Kenya Human Rights Commission. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the Human Rights Commission and the work that they have been doing to promote human rights for many years in this country. Martin is joining us as a senior program advisor, and he's a distinguished constitutional and human rights lawyer. And he brings a wealth of experience in research, policy review, and advocacy. Hold on, I'm not done. Martin's experience spans in civic space, security governance, counterterrorism, transitional justice, not only in Kenya, but across the continent of Africa and internationally. Is that not a feat? Martin, I'm continuing. Are you feeling shy like Wendy yet? I continue. You're enjoying it. No problem. I can go on. Martin earned his Bachelor of Laws from Nkumba University. 2 guesses if anyone can tell me where Nkumba is. Where is Nkumba? In? Is that true, Martin? She said Uganda.
Yes, that's
Hey, away. And it's complemented by a postgraduate diploma in legal practice from the esteemed School of Law. You know, it's not easy to go through School of Law. I thought about it. I studied law. I weighed my options. I said, no, it's too much. But yet, we sit here with Martin, who earned his diploma in legal practice from the very School of Law. He further enhanced his knowledge with a graduate certificate in advanced human rights on police oversight and vulnerable groups from the University of Pretoria. Where's Pretoria? Uganda, Kenya, South Africa. He's gone far, and he's here with us this morning. He's currently pursuing an LLM at the University of Nairobi. Or you completed?
I'm just waiting to graduate.
Away, look at that. Huh? He's about to graduate from the University of Nairobi. Now, as an instructor at the University of Nairobi, I can tell you once again, that is no easy feat. To say that you're about to graduate from the University of Nairobi, you have grit, you have perseverance, and you have resilience, because it is not easy. Martin has been actively involved in international mechanisms such as peer review at the UN level, the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, Assembly of State Parties, which has resulted in numerous positive resolutions that have benefited victims of human rights violations. Martin, we're very happy to have you here with us. We're happy to have Kenya Human Rights Commission working with us, and we welcome you to share your thoughts on this particular report and how we can move the implementation forward. Makofi, surely.
Thank you, Yvonne, for that wonderful introduction. Like she said, my name is Martin Mavenjina. I work with the Kenya Human Rights Commission, where I serve as a senior program advisor, transitional justice. First and foremost, I'm extremely humbled to be before you here. And I want to thank the organizers, Wangu Kanja Foundation, the Coalition Against Sexual Violence, and more importantly, Oxfam, that is a partner of our Kenya Human Rights Commission. I know Oxfam supports us in a lot of our work around economic and social justice for this timely report, because in my honest view, I think this report just comes into buff already, you know, the sustained pressure that we've always put on critical actors to ensure that female workers or workers generally have excellent or good working conditions. Let me start by pointing out that first and foremost, when you listen to the finding of this report, and allow me to go back a little, Kenya Human Rights Commission has worked in the tea sector since 2006, and to date, we still engage with tea farmers, specifically regarding the rights violations that they are subjected to. And I must confirm that there's a deeply entrenched culture of corporate impunity within the Kenyan tea culture, and the reason why within the Kenyan tea sector. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at most of these corporates, for many years they have made huge profits from Kenya, through tea, and yet when it comes to holding them to account, it's usually a tall order. When you look at the cases that have been filed against these companies, I mean, one of the cases we filed against Kaisugu, in 2013 is actually in court, and that shows you, and we are in 2025. That just shows you how hard it is, to hold corporates to account. And what is rather saddening is, ideally, most of these corporates, some of which are foreign owned, cannot actually do these things they're doing in their home jurisdictions. So this report becomes timely because it already identifies the existing policy gaps and why we must reform, why the Kenyan tea sector needs urgent reforms. The other thing I must mention, colleagues, is when you look at the length of time it takes actually to entertain some of these cases. I mean, Yvonne and a few colleagues here have worked with us when you're dealing with victims and survivors. It is a very painful conversation when you go back and tell a victim of human rights violation that, the case is still in court, it's still ongoing. In fact, some actually lose interest and like, what, our justice system is just not helping us. Because, I mean, the example of the case I gave where we represented 64 farmers of formerly employees of Kaisugu. That case was filed in 2013. We're still in court, right? So it just points to the fact that this report comes in timely because it also shows that its recommendations not only provide for us, pointers on how we need to review or to have serious policy conversations with the legislators and critical actors. But speaking of our legislators and critical actors, I think most of you in the room do agree with me that it is time for Kenyans to think about the quality of leaders we have, because to be honest, I don't think our leaders have the appetite or the political goodwill to reform Kenya's tea sector. And that is primarily because most governments of the day are interested in the taxes that these companies pay to them and what is in it for them at the expense of wananchi, and more importantly, the women who are subjected to serious violations. So it is my hope that the coalition members and ourselves will be able to use the findings of this report not only to engage critical actors, but also to hold corporates to account. And some of the strategies that we can actually use, I know I have mentioned that it is difficult to hold these corporate to accounts in Kenya, but it is time that, colleagues in the room, CSOs or CBOs, we explore the possibility of holding them to account in their jurisdictions. You remember, I think in 2023, there was a landmark decision that was passed in a court in Scotland that actually, that was filed by about 4,000 tea workers, that actually gave them jurisdiction to hear their case in Scotland. They filed a case against tea farmers here, against tea companies here. So it is important that we explore different avenues on how to hold these corporates to account. We also need to use the findings of this report to have a candid conversation about unionization, because you realize, yes, we have COTU, we have other unions, but they seem to abdicate, have abdicated their duty, because if at all these unions were working, I don't think would actually maybe be launching a different report here, speaking about progress, about good things about our tea sector. So I believe that the fight against corporate impunity within the tea sector is a collective effort. It's not something that we can can be done by one or different coalitions. It's all hands on deck, and we are grateful for the support that Oxfam has given to the coalition members, and it's our hope that in the next couple of years that we see more development partners being able to support the coalition to actually champion workers' rights. The other thing that I wanted to mention is when it comes to I mean, one of the key findings of the report was around the structural recommendations, basically putting in place structural mechanisms for victims and survivors. And I must say, personally, my first encounter with dealing with tea workers was, I think, back in 2017, when my colleague was around and she was like, I need you to help me do this fact-finding mission. And when you interact with tea farmers, and I don't think the situation has changed. One, you realize that basically the way it's basically you're living a rat race, whereby you get an advance, because we all have everybody, tea workers, just like the rest of us, have bills to pay. So you get an advance, you have to sort out maybe your child's school fees. Then before you know it, you don't have more than enough to, to actually develop yourself or even be able to provide for your basic needs. So it's like you're tied in, you're caught up in a chain, and yet this is something that most cooperatives have deliberately failed to address. So it is about time that we thought of actually reviewing what, first and foremost, the remuneration that actually are given to tea workers. Secondly, on the structural on the structural element, there is an aspect you talked about. When women are violated, then who gets to cancel them, or where are the safe spaces whereby they could be cancelled? It is about time that we need serious reforms within the tea sector, because if we do not do this, then unfortunately we would have to, we're sliding into into uncharted waters. But be as it may, not all hope is lost. I mean, from where I sit, from where we sit as the Kenya Human Rights Commission, we have had some successful fights against big corporates. They have taken an inordinate period of time. A good example I can give you is our work around Kakuzi PLC, which is similar to tea workers, but this time it's around individual communities. Now, it took us about 15 or 16 years to actually hold these fellows to account. And maybe I could just share some of the strategies that we use. First and foremost, that is work that was done by very many people. There are some people who have since left the Kenya Human Rights Commission, but it started way back in 2002. And we only got a landmark. We actually got, we saw that there was light at the end of the tunnel in 2019. And that's primarily because the thing about corporates is that they have a lot of money, and even if you are to sue them, they'll hire the best firms. But what they can't circumvent is when it comes to accountability within their own jurisdictions. We did try to hold Kakuzi accountable locally here. Of course, they hired the best firms in town. KHRC cannot hire, HHM or any of these big firms in town. And your guess is as good as mine. Those cases did not see the light of day. So what we did is we changed strategy. We decided to sue them at their parent company in the UK, and European courts are usually progressive, so that is how we were able to get them to have an out-of-court settlement. The other strategy that we used that was to great effect was we did carry out campaign that culminated into Tesco, that's the biggest supermarket in Europe, actually banning all their products, right? So usually with the corporates, the best strategy I can advise all of you is sometimes you have to use a strategy that we call scorched earth policy. That is what the colonials used to use, where they would burn our farmland and, basically smoke you out. So when you come to corporates, if you touch what gives them financial strength, then they'll come to the negotiating table. But for as long as you cannot stop them from making more money, then they will not be able to address most of the structural issues. So it's about time that we thought of holding them to account within their jurisdictions, because remember, our justice system here, well, it needs serious reforms ideally. If you are to sue any tea company here, that case will not be entertained, it will not be decided even in 2 years because of the way our court systems work. Probably to take a couple of years. So it's about time we change strategy. Yvonne told you I engage a lot with the peer review mechanisms, and I think these are mechanisms that you can all engage with. You don't have to actually travel to Geneva or these places. You can actually join through virtually and engage on these platforms just to highlight the critical issues that continue to affect the tea sector or workers specifically in Kenya. So in the interest of time, Yvonne, because I can talk and don't go on and on, I will leave it at that. But my parting shot is once again I would like to thank the coalition partners and Oxfam, for the excellent support in coming out with this very progressive report. It is my hope that the report will be disseminated and it's just a trick that we use at the Kenya Human Rights Commission. Yes, the report is small, but most of our policy actors want to see something like in 2 pages. So you may want to come up with a simplified version that you use to engage them. I'll tell you a honest truth, our MPs don't read. They don't read, even if it's 10 pages, they will not read. They want 1 or 2 pages, or even your CS Labour. She just wants, your relevant set actor just wants 1 or 2 pages, so get straight to the point. What is the issue? But we need to engage them more. Let's not tire, because remember, these fellows were, they are elected leaders. They are not there forever. So we must continue to engage them. And if they cannot conform to the reforms that we want within the tea sector, then I'm certain that we'll outlive them. And lastly, my parting thought is, I think I'm not a good singer, Yvonne, but let me try. This is a song that we use. We usually love, singing in KHRC. So it goes like this. So you can all stand up and join me. I'm sure some of you know it. Are you ready?
Tusimame.
Tusimame tafadhali. Yeah. So the song goes like this. Are you all ready? So it goes like this. Niyale, niyale, yale, oh, niyale, yale. Niyale, yale, mambo wa ukoloni. I think some of you know that song, right? Yes. So can we try it out? Yes, and you hold your left fist, please. Not right. Yes, we are lefties. Okay. Wait. Are you ready?
Martin, I'm trying to get you some background vocals here.
Yes, I'm looking for...
It's okay.
Where is the MC?
It's not American Idols.
Yes.
We are singing. So please.
Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3, go. Niyale, niyale, yale, wambo yale, yale. Niyale, yale, mambo wa ukoloni. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, you can go on. Mambo niyale, yale. Niyale, yale, mambo wa ukoloni. Thank you. So usually those are some of the songs that we sing at the Kenya Human Rights Commission. There are a number of songs we sing with comrades just to inspire us, to inspire victims, to continue their pursuit for justice and accountability. As I conclude, I would just want to empathize with the women and the mothers who may have been violated by these corporates. My parting shot is that rest assured, in one day or another, these corporates will be held to account. The journey to justice usually takes a long time, but we must not tire. This is our country. We cannot let corporates have a field day. They will be held to account, and we will have we will get there one day or another. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Another round of applause for Martin and the Kenya Human Rights Commission for continuing to walk with us, the survivors in this instance, and for sharing their knowledge in terms of different strategies we can adopt within our different spheres of influence. I like this idea of the scorched earth policy. Burn it down, hit them where it hurts, and think innovatively through how we can respond. Thank you so much, Martin. Now we'll come to our final guest. I think the only person whose voice we haven't heard this morning. We've heard Oxfam. There's a lot of Oxfam team members here, and we're very honored this morning to have with us the head of office of Oxfam in Kenya. I'll repeat, the head of office of Oxfam in Kenya. There's importanta and important tests. Oga here is important tests. And he's taken the time this morning to come and commemorate with us and to help us launch this report. As you've heard, Oxfam has been very instrumental in bringing the coalition together and offering the support, putting the money where their mouth is, also in terms of human support. They've given the coalition space in which to meet. They have been a core partner and a core supporter of the work of the coalition. And certainly, when it comes to the development of this report. So it really is my honor to hand the mic over to Mr. Edwin Mpando. Now, he's holding the mic, but please, just let me tell you a little bit about him. I hope you're ready. Edwin has nearly 18 years. That's a full adult. 18 years experience with non-governmental organizations in Africa, the continent, and Asia. His experience, 18 years, a full adult. Seeking to save lives, defeat poverty, and achieve social justice. That's quite a commendable feat. And some of his capabilities include managing large-scale humanitarian programs, floods, those sorts of disasters, war. We are speaking to someone who, how many years? In managing large-scale humanitarian development and influencing programs as well as operations, not only in the capacity as a partner, but also directly. So he's walked the walk. In these 18 years, he wasn't just sitting in his ivory tower, he was also on the ground. So he understands exactly what it is we're speaking about today. And he's done this in often challenging and insecure contexts. We're talking about Africa, we're talking about Asia. You can imagine if there's flooding, if there's war, the difficulties that come in responding in that particular instance. These are the sort of areas where for how many years? He has cut his teeth. And he's proven his experience in senior leadership, strategy development. Thinking strategically is not easy. And it's not for everyone. Because you need to see far sitting what other people are not able to do standing. And he has also proven his experience in governance, change management, crisis management, operating effectively in network organizations. I add effectively, because how many times are there networks that are developed, but they don't run properly? They're very inefficient, very ineffective. But here we're dealing with someone who has how many years? Operating effectively in network organizations and representation and advocacy at multiple levels. I think we really are honored to have you with us this morning, Edwin. And we really welcome you as our chief guest to give your keynote on behalf of Oxfam, who today I think are the MVPs in the room. So please, a nice Kenyan welcome, please, for our chief guest. Bado. I'm not feeling it. Ma'am, we are warming with nini. Try chemsha. Everyone must chemsha. I'm glad you can see me looking at you, sir. Is it chemking nicely? Rasa 20. We're chemsha in the club. Thank you very much. Now continue. I'm going to count to 3. So when I say 1, 2, 3, you clap. All right? Are you still, you're not chemshing? You're doing a good job because I can see our youngest member is awake now. He's woken up. Good job. Okay. On 1, 2, 3. There we go. Karibu sana, Edwin.
Thank you very much. That was a very powerful introduction. I'm sure, MC, I could use you during one of the interviews for any job that I'll be seeking in future. Thank you very much indeed. So invited guests, colleagues, fellow advocates for justice, Habari zetu. It is with profound honor and privilege to join you today at the launch of this pivotal report on women's experiences of rights violations in the Kenya's tea sector. This report lays bare entrenched reality, one that women workers in Kenya, especially in the Kenya tea sector, have endured for decades, but often in silence. Today, we want to break that silence. In doing so, we stand in solidarity with every woman who dared to speak up, to speak the truth in the face of fear, retaliation, and stigma. But as most of you have already mentioned, a report is only as good as it is used. I've heard a few people here mentioning a few other reports that have been in place before. The lady sitting across me here, she's talked about 2 reports. If those reports remain in our shelves, they become useless. But let's, action whatever it is that we have spent hours of research and doing a lot of study, producing evidence, to put those things into action. I think that is important. So this report reviews more than isolated cases of misconduct. It exposes a national crisis, one where sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment have been allowed to thrive in plain sight within the Kenya's tea sector. What is framed as employment is far too many times engaging women in a daily negotiation for dignity, safety, and survival. Women are coerced into sex for job security. They are silenced by fear, stigmatized when they speak out, and abandoned by the very systems that should protect them. This should concern every institution that values justice, labor rights, and gender equality. The economic engine of this country cannot continue running on the backs of exploited women. So the voices of women in this report are unfiltered, and that is deliberate, so that they come out as raw as they should be, and bold and courageous as they are presented. They speak of power imbalances, cohesion, psychological trauma, and systemic neglect. They reveal a sector structured in ways that reward abuse and punish resistance. But even more importantly, they speak of resistance, resilience, and the urgent need for justice. So demanding justice from all duty bearers. These women are not just survivors, they are leaders. And their stories must inform every policy and every response moving forward. So ladies and gentlemen, I will speak about our commitment at Oxfam. At Oxfam, as a feminist organization, our approach is that we challenge the very structures that enable violence to thrive in societies. We believe in power with, not power over. We believe in transforming not only the laws and policies, but cultures and institutions and minds. So this study is part of a broader agenda to dismantle systems of gendered exploitation, not just in tea, but across various sectors. Because wherever women's labor is invisibilized, violence tends to hide there. So at Oxfam, we uphold a zero-tolerance policy for any form of sexual exploitation, abuse, or harassment, whether within our programs, partnerships, or among our staff. My colleagues here would agree with me. and also the affiliates that we work with. Safeguarding is not just a tick boxing exercise. It is a fundamental commitment to the people we work with and also the people that we work for, especially women and marginalized groups who have historically been silenced. We continuously strengthen our internal systems, invest in survivor-centered approaches and responses, and hold ourselves to the highest standards of accountability. So what is our call to action? We are calling on the government to strengthen enforcement of labor laws and ensure protection for women workers. Also the private sector to stop hiding behind policies and take full accountability of abuses in their value chains. Worker unions to center the voices of women in their advocacy, and also civil society and the international community to continue amplifying the voices of the survivors. We cannot normalize violence. We cannot accept that women must trade dignity for a wage. We must disrupt this culture together. So let us honor this report, not by just celebrating that, yes, we've got a report, just like we have done with all the previous reports that have touched on similar issues. We must take action, and we must take action now. To the women who spoke up, I would like to say thank you very much. If you are here, let's clap hands for them. To Wangu Kanja Foundation, thank you very much. A big hands to you as well. Your leadership has really written the way up. So thank you very much. We are very grateful. And to all of us, let this beginning, not the end. Justice in the tea sector is long overdue. And as of Oxfam, we will not rest. We'll continue fighting. We'll work in different spaces in the coalitions to make sure that we take action on what we have actually come up with in this report. With those few remarks, I would like to just leave you with the word that a report is only as good as it is used. So let's put action, let's take action for what we have taken many hours, days, months to actually come up with. So thank you very much and God bless you.
Asante sana Edwin. We can clap for Edwin mpaka akae chini alafu apatiwe glass ya maji ya kunywe, because whatever Edwin amezungumzia ni jambo la maana sana. Thank you so much Edwin for those wonderful remarks. And you know, by the way, it is very rare to get a head of office on Friday. If I'm lying, you can just tell me I'm lying, by the way. It's very rare. I used to work with somebody who on Fridays, apana, no calls on Fridays because the weekend has just, exactly. And we are almost there. So the weekend is almost here. So at this particular juncture, we are proceeding with the official launch of our report. And so I'd request us, mbona tunakaa tumechoka hivi? Why are we tired? Suleha, why are you so tired, eh? I know you are tired from the protest, but pretend, eh? We are so gloomy this morning, Bana. All right. So let's stand for a minute. Let's stand. The good thing with being an MC is you can command even a head of office. I like this part. So we can sit. Sit. Asa mmeanza, I wanted you to stretch, come on. Right, Rasat, if you can come assist me with your computer, I need to hear some music as I call upon these people, and these people shall be dancing as we head there. So if I call you, please prepare yourself to dance. Not sure whether you're looking at me. Okay. Thanks. Okay, I get it. Thanks, Rosat. As Rosat keeps looking for the song, I'll call upon any representative from the tea sector. You can agree among yourself who can join us in the official launch of the report to come there, because also a photo will be taken. Tafadhali, eh? The team from Oxfam, I mean, all of you, we need to head there, tafadhali. We are trying to balance the issue of copyright, especially because we are live on YouTube, eh? So we might be struck.
Work today is broken.
Thanks.
We're all working in too many disconnected apps, and it's killing team.
There. That is the team from Oxfam. The team from Wangukanja Foundation, please. The team from Wangukanja Foundation, please. All right. Kenya Human Rights Commission, Martin, please join the team. We can also have a representative from either Limuru, Muranga, mmoja wenyu tu akuje tafadhali. And please, Wendy, wherever you are, assist me to organize that team there. Asante sana. We are not limiting ourselves to this team. It is just round 1. Then we'll proceed with round 2. Where is Wendy? I'm not saying you are short, but I need to see you. So please direct us, Wendy. We are going to cut the ribbon there, please. There. That's why I want us there. Right, so who is cutting? Kata. Na sio keki head of office, sio ndo shida sasa. Nikisema kata kule nyote tunasema kata, si ndio? Kata. Tunakata nini? So we are counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we cut. Sawa. Right. So acha niangalie nani mwenye account. Hello. Kata. All right. Okay. All of us 1 to 5. 1, 4, 5. Head of office mimi ndio MC. So tunaanza na 5. Sawa. Okay. Wow. So it's an opportunity for a photo session, tafadhali. Rasat and your team, tupange at your orders. Please smile, smile.
Want to start a business? Start.
Wendy, you are distracted. Wendy. Kwani picha ina capture kelele, mmenyamaza. Asante. Yes, Wendy, please. I'm sorry about that. CSV members, please. CSV members, I'm reminded we need to be here. Sorry. CSV members. CSV members, each writes, utu wetu, Wangu Kanja have been there, but I know we can also go back there, sindio? Thank you. Thank you. Unataka tujigawanye, si ndio? Sawa sawa. I'm also reminded SSV Kenya members, please join. SSV Kenya members, please join. Na tujipange hapa vizuri. We have the space. Please make sure you have a copy of this. There are plenty of them. Pale. Please. You can start smiling. Start smiling. Just start smiling, eh? Start smiling. Yeah, start smiling. There's space here. Kuna space. Because tuko wengi, kameramani anaomba coalition tuanze, alafu SSV. Please. Good. You are the head of everything. Hey, Wendy. All right. Thank you so much. SSV members. SSV members. Si ulisema? Okay, okay. Okay, okay. Wamesema tuna haya. Amtaki picha. Rasat. Limuru? Kangema, yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Asante. Next. Yes, Mavenjina and your team. Thank you so much. All right. So we can get back to our seats. We are winding up in the next 3 minutes. No, it's you waiting for. Please proceed. It's you waiting for. And Eleni too. Why are you shy? Okay, thank you. See, we can clap for ourselves, eh? Let's clap for ourselves. That was a job well done. And at this point, Wendy, come, then we can close. Thanks.
Thank you. How are we feeling? Mimi niko na furaha sana, sijui nyinyi. Nyinyi mnakaa mmeboeka? Hamjaboeka? I'm so happy that we finally get to launch this report. It's a very big milestone for the coalition, for women tea workers that we've worked with for the past 1 year. So for us, it's a big win, but of course we are looking forward to working with all stakeholders and partners in the room and those who were not able to attend to implement the recommendations to ensure that we are able to support women tea workers and to protect tea workers. On behalf of the Coalition Against Sexual Violence and as the convening organization, I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for creating time to join us. We were uncertain about today because of course, the protests, but we are glad we were able to have this launch. It's been a success. Thank you to the coalition members for coming, Advocates for Social Change, CREW, Each Rights, GEM Trust, we have Freely in Hope, we have PHR, Oxfam, we have Wangu Kanja Foundation. Wapigieni makofi. Thank you. Thank you to our board chair, Rachel, for representing Lady Wango. Thank you to the consulting team that made this possible. Thank you to our MCs for a good job. Tuwapige makofi. To our speakers, to one of the research participants from Limuru, Grace, asante sana kwa kuongelelea wenzako. Thank you, Dorcas, for speaking on behalf of the coalition. Thank you to Mavenjina for creating time to join us for this launch. The Oxfam team, asanteni sana. Mr. Edwin Mpando, thank you for joining us. And to members of the Survivors Network who always work with us, you make this work possible. Makofi kwenu. And to even the hotel staff for making this launch a success. Situmeshiba. Yeah, so thank you so much to all of you. And I wish you a lovely afternoon. Sasa tunaweza endelea na our business ya Friday. Sindio? Thank you na mfike nyumbani salama. Bye. I guess we can leave at your own pleasure. Okay. If you wish to get extra copies of the report, please feel free to pass by. If you want to get some, maybe for your team members at the office or for having the publications in your office.